Hi, I'm Micah Clark. Thank you for joining us today. I have a good friend on the air today and someone you probably know, but if not, you certainly need to because his office is one of the most important offices in the state government. But I wanted to have Diego Morales, Indiana Secretary of State, on to talk about his office so our audience knows about all the things you do. Diego, thanks for joining us.
Micah, thank you.
Good to see you. We've been friends for a long time.
Always good seeing you,
Yes.
Micah. First of all, let me start by saying thank you for your leadership and thank you for all you do here in Indiana. Your leadership is so needed, and I'm so glad that we are truly blessed to have you here in Indiana, Micah.
Thank you. Well, let's start off with your story. I mean, obviously, you have a bit of an accent. You've got a wonderful story about who you are, your background. Let's tell us a little bit about your bio. Then we'll get into what the Secretary of State office is. Tell us a little bit about your political history as well.
Well, thank you, Micah. One of the things that I love to share with my fellow Hoosiers all over the 92 counties, which, by the way, this year I visited all 92 counties within 3 months.
Wow.
No statewide office holder has done that. Visiting not only with county clerks, sheriffs, prosecutors, local elected officials, businesses, schools, and so forth. And then I get to talk about my story.
Yes.
You ask about my story. I am proud to tell you, Micah, that I am a legal immigrant who came to America legally, respecting the rule of law, respecting our Constitution. I was a senior in high school when I had the honor. This is an honor because I always tell people, if you were born and raised in America, you are truly blessed.
Yes.
You are blessed. My family and I came to America legally. I was a senior in high school, and I arrived, to me, in the best small town in America, Salisbury, Indiana, in Clark County.
Yeah.
Imagine this, Micah. I was the only Latino in my whole high school. My first day in high school, I was lost because I spoke no English. Zero, to be specific. But I'll tell you, that's where I learned the true meaning of Hoosier hospitality. My fellow Hoosiers welcomed me and embraced me with open arms, and they helped me, and they said, you're here now, you're an American, you need to learn the language, you need to go to college, you need to get an education. So that's exactly what I did. I started learning the language. I adjusted into the culture, the American way of life. And of course, shortly after that, I went to college. I went to Indiana University to get my education. Perhaps many people have my story. My parents were factory workers. I was a factory worker myself. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'm proud to share that.
Hard work.
It's all about hard work because the way I put myself to college was working in the factory floor, I took on several jobs to pay for my education in college because my parents they couldn't pay for my college, for my education. But they said, but you can. And that's exactly what I did. So after my college days, I said, it is time for me and my family to show our gratitude to the American people. So with the green card in my wallet, I was not yet a U.S. citizen, but I was here legally.
Sure.
So I had the green card. I went to enlist in the U.S. military, in the U.S. Army. And before I knew it, I was stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia to become an infantryman. And while I was there, I said, wow, what did I get myself into? It was one of the hardest things I ever done. But I'm glad I did because I learned discipline, attention to detail, and most importantly, for my family and I, to show our gratitude to the American people because we've been welcomed and embraced. So when while I was there, that's when I was asked if I was registered to vote. Okay. And I said, no, I'm not. Why not? He said, well, I'm not a U.S. citizen yet. I'm here legally, okay? I can do everything except the right to vote. So when I came back, obviously I joined the Indiana National Guard. So I was going all over the state at different armories. And then I reached out to the local county clerk's office to learn how a county clerk runs elections, and reach out to the former Secretary of State at the time, our friend Todd Rokita.
Oh, sure.
And then I started preparing myself. But in the process, I said, I want to get more education. So I went to Purdue University to get my MBA. And then I went to work for, another good friend of ours, Vice President Pence, when he was the governor. And I learned a lot. In fact, my first job was with Congressman Mike Sodrell from the 9th Congressional District. And I tell everybody that I learned so much from Mike Sodrell and Mike Pence. They have different but great leadership styles. And now with my style, I'm running the Secretary of State's office with from people that I learned, good people like both Mikes. But then I left, I went to study more education overseas in Europe, in Germany, the Netherlands, Hungary, Brazil, Mexico, and so forth. And here is why, because while I was there, that's where I met actually my beautiful wife. So my wife, I met her in Budapest when I was in school. And then I stole her from there. I brought her to America. And, we dated a few years before actually we got married because we wanted to get to know each other. I took on several trips there. She came here. And I'll tell people, I don't know if people remember the so-called Skype. God bless for Skype, because that's why we were communicating with my wife every night, through Skype. So, and we dated for a few years, and then I prayed about it, and I said, Lord, I said, I'm ready to get married. Is she the right woman for me? And I felt it was. So, and then talked to my parents. In fact, when I was working for Governor Pence at the time, I asked him for his advice, and he said, did you pray about it? Are you ready for that?
Sounds like Mike.
Exactly. And then I flew back to Budapest to propose to my wife, and now she is a naturalized citizen, and she's my biggest supporter. She goes with me to as many events. Sometimes she says, Diego, I'm not the secretary. She says, you go, I need a break. I need to stay home and take care of the house. But she goes with me at as many events. And my parents, obviously, they're all naturalized citizens. We all go out there and vote. Because for us, the right to vote is an honor. It's a privilege. And that's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Sharing through my story, telling them, do not take for granted your right to vote. So this is part of my story. And then, of course, when I felt this calling that to run and be the Secretary of State, one of the things that I'm well known of is that I work hard.
Yeah, you ran for well over a year. I mean, you were everywhere. I saw you at events all across the state when you were running.
So we, one of the things that I say, because our former Secretary of State was term limited, and, I'm very respectful. And I said, in fact, when I talked to our former Secretary of State, I said, I know you're term limited. Obviously, I would like to take the job, but I'm going to be patient because I, not only as a military person, I follow the chain of command, but also, as a proud Republican myself, I follow the chain as well. I'm patient. I wait for my turn, and I pay my dues, and I have paid my dues. So in order to do that, I actually waited, and then as soon as I knew that it was an opening, because she was term limited, her term was supposed to expire in 2022. So I actually said, I'm going to be the first one to announce and get out there. And that's what I did. So we raised a ton of money, and I crisscrossed all 92 counties multiple times. And you know what? After that, now I'm doing the same in an official capacity as the Secretary of State. As I said, this year we visited within 3 months. We've been crisscrossing the state, telling Hoosiers of what we've been doing, protecting our elections, protecting, the sanctity of the ballot. So I'm proud to tell you that we're being busy at work. But since you asked my story, I'm going to leave you with this before we move to another topic. I can tell you that I am so honored to call myself a proud American and a proud Hoosier. In fact, I tell others, I feel with all my heart that I was born to be a Hoosier. I was born to be a Hoosier. And that is why I put Indiana everywhere. Like I brag about Indiana everywhere I go, because this is home. For me, I'm not a politician. I'm the Secretary of State obviously my top priority is elections, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Business services and others. But at the end of the day, is how can I make a difference? How can I continue to give back and repay my debt of gratitude to Indiana? And I believe we're doing this through the Secretary of State's office. And then how can we open the doors and pave the way for others, to provide some hope for others? So that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And of course, I tell people, when people ask me, how's it going? Do you like your job? And I stopped them real quick. I said, being Secretary of State is not a job. It's a passion for me. And that is why I put my heart and soul into this office every day. In fact, when I'm in the State House, if I'm not traveling all over the state, because sometimes we leave very early, but if I'm in the State House, I arrive around 5 a.m.
Yeah, knew that. Yeah.
We open both doors of the Secretary of State's office, Micah, since day one up till this morning at 7 a.m. every morning, 7 a.m. So that's what we're bringing, into the Secretary of State's office, that hard work mentality, and we're going to continue to do that.
Well, for our audience, I'm sure with everybody focused on elections right now, one part of your job is elections. But let's give an overview to the audience. What does the Secretary of State's office oversee and do? Because it's a large office, and a lot of people don't realize beyond elections all the things that Secretary of State covers. So kind of explain your office to us.
Sure. Elections is the number one, and we'll come back to that.
Sure, yeah.
The second one is Business Services Division. We are in charge of all the businesses in the state of Indiana. Like if someone starts their new LLC or DBA or their corporation or notary or apostilles, it's under our Business Services Division. So I'm proud to tell you that we are obviously running the Business Services Division very efficiently. In fact, when I came in office, I created 4 pillars. The first one is we want to be welcoming. And because one of my goals is to welcome our fellow Hoosiers from all 92 counties into their Secretary of State's office, into their State House. You see, that's the people's house.
Right.
I work for the people. I don't work for me. I work for all of you. We want to be responsive, efficient, and innovative. So that's how we run in the office. Specifically in the Business Services Division, according to Forbes magazine, we're being rated as one of the #1 states to start a business. And where those people start their business? In the Secretary of State's office. But also, one of my focus that I've been trying to do is, when I came in office, I want to take the Secretary of State's office to the international stage, if you will. Here is how. Let me give you a couple examples, because I want people to understand this. I visited, for example, a few other countries like Taiwan, Hungary, Germany. And by the way, no taxpayers' money was used. I always like to clarify that. We were invited to go there and promote our state. So of course I went there to brag about Indiana, that we have the best corn, the best soybean, and we love our bacon. We produce a lot of pork here in Indiana. So when I was in Germany, I encouraged the Germans, specifically Volkswagen. I went to visit Volkswagen to move to Indiana and start a plant here in Indiana so we can create good paying jobs. And I say this to you because we have the Auto Dealer Services Division under our office. That's something that people do not know. We obviously regulate new franchise cars or independent. Most people call it like used cars, you know, out you see them all over in town. We regulate them. In addition to that, we regulate manufacturing, including the 4 auto manufacturing plants in Indiana. We have Honda, Toyota, Subaru, and GM. So see, that's my job that I work. Sometimes people say, well, why are you doing that? Well, that's my duty. That's part of the Indiana Constitution that I'm supposed to be doing that. But also we have our other division, which is securities. And in security, we regulate securities. In fact, one of the things that we just did a few weeks back, Micah, because my #1 job is to look out for the best interest of Hoosier investors. So you know what we did a few weeks back? We sent a cease and desist letter to BlackRock.
Oh, yes, I saw that, yeah.
Because they're promoting their ESG, may I say, woke agenda.
Yep.
And I'm against all this woke agenda. So we told them, look, you cannot do that here in Indiana. I said, you can do whatever you want with your own money, but not using the money of my fellow Hoosiers. So we've been hard at work protecting Hoosier investors. And, besides of that, we're also focusing a lot on other new initiatives. But I want to leave the elections for last, because this is, and I know you will have more questions, but I'll give you the overview before you will ask some specific questions. What we'll be doing in elections these 22 months that I've been in office, when we arrived, we got to work. I visited all 92 counties within 6 months last year. My goal was to do a listening tour. See what clerks need. And I visited with all what local elected officials need. Because when it comes to elections, we all need to work together. It's a team effort. Elections affects us all.
Right.
Not just county clerks, everyone. So I went back to the State House and we came up with some good initiatives, and happy to develop more on what we've been doing, but I want to make sure leave time for your specific questions.
Well, I know that you've worked on a couple of different bills I saw pass through the past 2 years. Why don't you tell the audience a few of the bills you backed that got through on election security or election efficiency? And then I have another question. It's a simple one, but go ahead.
Sure, great question. So I said my top priority is election integrity and election security. And that's not going to change. It remains my top priority. So what we did last year, the first thing that we did, we introduced legislation, which is House Bill 1334. What's House Bill 1334? Basically is expansion of photo ID for absentee.
Yes.
Here is why. You see what happened in 2020? A lot of people were voting by mail. Because there were no safeguards around it. Now, when Indiana passed the first photo ID a few years back, but it was only for in person. So when you go to vote in person, you show your ID, which is great. And we'll continue to strengthening our photo ID laws. But it didn't apply for absentee. That's when we said, look, we saw what happened in 2020. Now in 2024, we need to put safeguards into that. So now, first of all, no county clerk in Indiana will just send you one. I got so many calls even in 2022. Why am I getting one? I never requested one. So now they will not be able to send you one. Now, if you want to vote, obviously by mail, I'm a big proponent to go and vote in person. In fact, my wife and I, we always go and vote on election day.
Like
for us, exactly. So we love that. But I understand people are in business, they may have to travel, people are ill, disabled, are military people who are fighting us. I understand some of them, they have to vote by mail. So now, you are the only one who can request one. No one else. 2, you need to show documentation. That is you, Micah Clark. In fact, some of them is obviously your social security or the numbers of your driver license, or even we even requesting, if you don't mind, you can attach a copy of your actual driver license. So we know exactly. So like I said, we're putting safeguards into these elections. What we accomplished this year, this is my signature bill, House Bill 1264. What is House Bill 1264? It will allow us to start cleaning the voter rolls, the voter file list. We need to make sure that our voter file list is up to date, and that's what it is allowing us by passing this piece of legislation. I can get to you more. Like, for example, we are going to use commercially available data to cross-check to make sure that only eligible Hoosiers are in our voter rolls. Number two, here is a big one that I'm really, really pushing, and when I say pushing, I mean promoting. It will allow us to request proof of citizenship.
That's what I was going to ask you about, yeah.
I can tell you, Micah, in Indiana, only U.S. citizens will be able to vote, period. And under my watch, we're going to make sure that we're a better ambassador than a legal immigrant, to your point, who has an accent. Right. I tell everybody that my accent is from Kentucky.
It's believable.
But I tell others, what a better ambassador than someone who came here legally, respecting the rule of law. Because when I became a naturalized citizen myself, Micah, that day I felt that I won the lottery. Yeah. I said, wow, I'm an American now. And that day I went to register to vote, and I have not missed one. So so that's what I'm keen on promoting, proof of citizenship. In fact, I'm gonna give you and your audience, you guys are gonna be one of the first ones to see this. When you go to the polls these elections, you're gonna see our signs. We're making yard signs that it will say that in Indiana, that will say only U.S. citizens will get to vote in Indiana.
Good. So I guess my question, I was going to ask you about that. I know that every state office holder and even legislators have these conferences around the nation, and so I know you know a little bit. How we see these stories about illegal voters in other states, or do they just not clean their rolls, or what? How did well, there was a story, I think it was Arizona had 98,000, or Texas had 30,000 illegals when they did some type of audit. We don't seem to have that so much in Indiana. What are they doing wrong, maybe? Is that a fair question to ask?
Well, I cannot speak on other states because, I'm the Secretary of State of Indiana, and here in Indiana, we're leading the way.
Right.
But here's what we're doing. For example, and I'll tell you, there are some examples, and I need to be transparent as well. For example, sometimes when people go to the B&B, sometimes they get registered when they are not citizens,
gotcha. Okay.
U.S. citizens yet. Remember when you saw this influx of people from other countries like Ukraine or Venezuela coming here, they were able to come here legally, but they're not U.S. citizens.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
But when they went to the, B&B, all of a sudden, they were asked, all of a sudden they were in our voter rolls. Now, some of this is because folks there, they ask others, will you register to vote?
They ask everybody that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, some folks, perhaps the language barrier, and sometimes if you don't know the language, English, you just nod your head and you don't know what they ask you, but you just say, okay. And then all of a sudden, you ended up in the voter rolls. So that's why, I'm a big proponent to educate. For example, English is our official language in America, period. Everybody needs to do that. But I always tell others, nothing wrong to learn other language, specifically like this. Like someone needs to say in their language, they should, as I said, they should learn the language. Right. But it's fair if someone just arrived here, a couple of weeks or something. You're not going to learn everything in a couple of weeks. Ask them and let them know that in there, they should not be registering to vote. So to ask, you ask this question, we're doing a better job here in Indiana because we have put safeguards in place, making sure that only eligible Hoosiers are registered to vote. But in fact, if some folks, because we've seen an example actually, this example from Monroe County, from Bloomington, there's this a resident legally here, but non-citizens, all of a sudden ended up on the voter rolls. So he called our office and we gave him the appropriate documentation to send it to the clerk's office so he can be off the rolls. Okay. But not many people take that initiative. Yeah. But the other one that I want you to go quickly is that with this bill, House Bill 1264, Also, we're allowed to request proof of residency for specifically for first-time voters. And the fourth one, a big one that I like to promote as well, is now here in Indiana with House Bill 1264, we eliminated and we banned private foreign money into our elections. No more private foreign money into elections. We've been leading the way in the nation, and other states are looking at what we did. Because in 2020, soccer bucks, sock bucks, he dumped like over a couple $1 million in Indiana, and we're not even a swing state. Imagine how many millions they've been dumping in swing states. Yeah. So we wanted to be ahead of that, and we have prevented that. But in addition to that, we've been passing out election improvement grant money. We have given grant money to 90 counties out of the 92, so they can buy cameras, so we can where we can see when they storage the ballots, so no one go in, go out.
Right.
Locks, they're using this money to recruit poll workers, voter education. Like really for outreach, because we want to make sure that our fellow Hoosiers get out there and vote. I tell people, when I became the Secretary of State, I made history as the first Latino Secretary of State in the history of Indiana. And one of my goals is, I'm telling others, please go and vote. It's your right. It's your voice. So we're going to continue to do that. And I'm happy to tell you that we've been busy this past 22 months. We're, less than 34 days already to November 5th. And I know I can tell you that Indiana, we will be leading again the way, so we can let everybody know that after 6 p.m. Who the president will be.
Yeah. Well, your office also, if I remember right, you mentioned election divisions. You also oversee like campaign finance and those types of reports, so you can see if foreign money is coming into candidates or things like that, or there's illegalities of misuse of. Is that through the Secretary of State's office also?
It's through our election division, but we work very close. Obviously, our election division is under our office. The difference here, and I'm glad you asked that question, because our election division is set up in this way. So there are 3 people in our election division. Obviously, I'm the chair, if you will, is under our office. But then the Republican Party appoints one, which is Brad King, the Republican representative. And then the Democrats, they appoint their appointment, which is Angie, is them. So we have 2 co-directors, one Republican and one Democrat. And I'm the chair, I'm the one who breaks the bots, right? So, and as you know, unfortunately or fortunately, for whatever people like to see it, sometimes there are some disagreements, and that's how it is. So when it comes to campaign finance and other items, the 3 of us, we need to talk and hopefully come with an agreement. But there is, but saying that, that's just part of it. But overall, the Secretary of State's office, we've been really busy at work, telling everybody that now, to be honest with you, Micah, I believe humbly that we have taken the Secretary of State's office to the next level. Here is why. And I attribute this because I truly believe, I'm not ashamed to profess my faith, but I tell folks there are only 2 reasons for me why I'm the Secretary of State. One is because of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And 2, because I put the work in.
Yeah.
I work hard. And you can ask my team, But because we've been doing this, now we have taken this office to the next level. We're passing good election legislation to put great safeguards into our elections. We also passed, business services, all these elections. But here is something before, because your audience need to know this is very important. I've been able to push back against the federal government as well. So we send over 100 letters to federal agencies here in Indiana, demanding them not to get involved into our elections, not to register to elections. I went to testify before Congress, before the the business committee in Congress in Washington, D.C., and I told them that the Small Business Administration has no role in registering people. I said, that's my job. I'm the Secretary of State. I said, the business administration, they're doing a good job and they must protect businesses. And they should, their core mission and focus should be businesses, not registering people. That's my job. So I've been pushing back, and I told the federal government, you guys go and pound sand somewhere. We, the states, know better how to run our elections. And that's what I've been encouraging our congressional delegation, specifically all Republicans, to vote for the SAFE Act.
Yes.
And I'm proud to tell you that our Republican congressional delegation, they all voted for that. Now we're just waiting for the Senate. It seems like the Senate is not acting on this. So if you see, we've been active, and we're going to continue to do that.
Well, I want to wrap up because we all know a long time. When does early voting start? Or it's pretty coming up, is it next week?
Yes, actually Tuesday. So Tuesday starts. That's, I'm trying to tell everybody, please, go and vote, and go and vote in person. Like I said, we have so many opportunities here in Indiana. November 5th is our election, but there are a lot of opportunities. And, I'm respectful to folks if they want to go and vote on election day or that. But if they decide to go and vote early, I advise them to go and vote in person. They can go and vote in the courthouse Monday through Friday, and we have the 2 Saturdays before election, so they can go there. Again, if you're ill, disabled, yes, you can request, an absentee. But if you're able to, maybe on your lunch break, if you will not be here on election day, on your lunch break, go and vote. Go and vote. So this is my call to action to our fellow Hoosiers and to your audience. Get out there and vote. Go and vote. We need you to get out there and vote. So exercise your right to vote. That's your voice. It is the honor of my life to be the Secretary of State. As I said earlier, I truly believe this is my calling. Just like in the book of Esther, it says, for such a time as this. And that is why I said, it's not a job for me. Being Secretary of State is not a job. It's a passion. And I put my heart and soul into this office every day because I know this is my calling. And we're going to continue to do this. And, whenever my Lord and Savior is ready for me to say, you're to do something else, you know what? I will be obedient and listen to him. But for now, my focus is to run great elections and run the Secretary of State's office the best of my abilities.
Well, I know you're very busy. I really appreciate you coming on today because I really want people to know, one, who you are, but two, the office and what people hear about you, but they don't want to know what you do. So I really appreciate you explaining that to the audience today. It's a very important office. Do you know off the top of your head how many employees are in the Secretary of State's office?
Close to 100.
Okay.
So we have close to 100 folks, which...
How's that compared to some of the other offices like comptroller or treasurer, do you know?
Well, we have more divisions.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, one of the other things that we did, we hire regional directors all over the state. So we have a regional director in Northeast Indiana who's based out of Fort Wayne, Northwest Indiana in the region, Southwest Indiana in the Evansville area, Southeast and Central Indiana. You see, to be closer.
So people don't have to drive all the way to Annapolis to...
Yeah, exactly. But also, let me tell you this to your audience. But also, I'm accessible. In addition to me, I give everybody my cell phone. I'm so accessible. People can call me, can text me, can email me. My team is also always available. My election director, my policy legislative director. And then in addition to this, we want to make sure that we're accessible to the people. Again, because I work for the people of Indiana. I work for my fellow Hoosiers. I don't work for me. I'm just honored and privileged to be the Secretary of State. And I don't take that like, I tell you this, Micah. To finish our conversation here, because I know you say we need to wrap this up, but I'll tell you this.
Fine.
When I walk into the Secretary of State's office, I pinch myself. Because when I walk in, you've been in the State House many times, but I pinch myself and I said, I cannot believe I get to work here in this beautiful State House. And then I go to my office and I say, wow, for Diego Morales, who came to America with nothing, knowing zero English. And now I'm the Secretary of State. That can only happen in America. And that is the American dream. And that is why, my friends, America is an exceptional country. You can be anything if you're willing to work hard and make some sacrifices, because nothing is going to come to you. You got to put the work in. You got to do that. I'm as patriotic as you can, man. You can ask my staffers, you know, in the office. I want to showcase the American flag everywhere I go. I brag about Indiana everywhere I go. When I'm overseas, I tell everybody that America is the greatest country on earth. You know, I wore the uniform. I signed a blank check. Again, serving when I was not even a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, right.
That's how much love I have for Indiana and America. And now, from the Secretary of State's office as Secretary of State, I just want to continue to repay my debt of gratitude to Indiana and America. That's all I'm doing.
I'm smiling because I brought in some people from North Carolina and Texas about a year ago. You won't remember this, but we had some time. We were meeting with some legislators. And so let me see if I can get hold of Diego. I call you on your cell. Oh, yeah, come on over. And you walk in, and that was exactly what you told him. You said, I'm so blessed to be here. I pinched myself. You told the same story about how great America was. They walked out of there wild, like, wow, this is the American dream. And so I know what you say is true because you've consistently said it for 2 years. So thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. And we talk often, but I appreciate you coming in and telling my audience about what the Secretary of State's office is and what it does. And I know you're going to be busy in the next month with the election, but thank you for all your office does, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Micah. And again, thank you for all your leadership. Thank you for all you do here in Indiana as well. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helped you learn a little bit more about what the Secretary of State does in Indiana, what an important office it is. It's a big office. Pray for Diego. It's a tough job, but as you can tell, he enjoys it, and he does travel a lot. I see him out different places quite often. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for joining us. I'm Micah Clark with American Family Association. Have a wonderful weekend.